Hello, dear students. I am Dr. Bindya Sharma, and in today's lecture, we'll be studying about water conservation and rainwater harvesting. In the previous lectures, we have studied about the sustainability and sustainable development. Let us quickly revise what do we mean by sustainable development. So it is the development that meets the need of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. This simply means that we have to do all kind of developmental activity which is required for a nation, but it should never be at the risk of environment or at the risk of the future generations. And this also we have studied in detail that a sustainable development is based on three pillars. That is environmental sustainability, where we are concerned about the environment and we are trying to protect our environment. Then the second pillar is the economic sustainability, where we are also uh, thinking of the ways how we can improve our economy as well as the resources made available for the economic sustainability, and then the socio-political sustainability, where we are maintaining a social harmony and the political stability. Now, when we talk about the environmental, one of the important pillars of sustainability, that is the environment. So, a urgent need of water conservation is seen as the world faces an increasingly critical need to address the climate change. The impact of water conservation has on a sustainable environment is undeniable. We cannot deny that we have to conserve the groundwater and the water which is available to us on the earth. So the groundwater, as all of us know, that it is a primary source of the fresh water and it caters the growing demand of the industry as well as for the domestic use of the water. But it is observed that we are exploiting the groundwater resources for our daily needs, and therefore it is declining day by day. We are finding the scarcity of the water can be seen for the fresh water. So, though many technological devices are being developed in order to minimize the wastage of the water, but still our contribution is must needed if we want to optimize the groundwater, especially for our day-to-day activities. So we need to conserve water at individual level also. Our water resources are depleting each year, and it is not possible for us to generate artificial water, and still we are dependent on the natural water which is available to us as rain. So as we know that we are using so much of water, and on the earth we don't have much of the fresh water supplies. Mostly the water is in the form of the frozen ice. Still the water which is present in the sea and oceans cannot be used directly because it is the saline water. So we are using so much of water and we cannot generate water. So whatever present water resources we have for the fresh water, we have to conserve them. So although we are having much of the water available to us on our earth, we cannot use it. So therefore, whatever small percentage of the pure and the fresh water is available for the human beings, we need to protect, conserve, and control its uses. And we have to take care of the its resources also. It should not be polluted. That means we have to manage the fresh water resources. By doing small actions in our day-to-day life, we can conserve water. For example, we should not waste water. The leakage of the taps should be taken seriously and they should be rectified. We should try to avoid wasting water, and we should try to recycle the water and use it in some of the washing or gardening purposes. So we should first of all try to reduce the wastage of the water and we should try to conserve the water. As long as we need water, the same amount of water should be judiciously used. So for even the farmers for their irrigation land also to grow the crops, they require water. So even they can use some of the techniques which will help to conserve the water. So this is a term called as the rainwater harvesting. That means rainwater harvesting is a kind of strategy by which the rainfall is gathered and stored for the further future use. This process involves the collection and storage of the rainwater with the help of artificially designed system that runs off the natural catchment area. For example, rooftop, mostly the water flows from rooftop, rocky surfaces where the water cannot be absorbed, or some kind of semi previous land surface also. So the collected rainwater from these all the surfaces, it can be filtered, stored, and then later on it can be utilized. Or in simple terms, we can say that we are recharging the water. So if we can recharge the rainwater or we can harvest the rainwater, then it becomes easy for us to use it in near future. And rainwater harvesting is a very smart process because it does not contain any kind of impurity. It does not cost us more, and it is a no maintenance process which can be easily done. Even to our homes, we can do it. So rainwater can be harvested in a variety of ways, like directly from rooftops or some kind of a catchment areas. Monsoon runoff, water from flooded rivers can also be harvested and can be stored. And in the similar manner, from the percolation tanks, water can be stored there and then it can be discharged into the ground. So this is a image which depicts how we can harvest the rainwater in our homes. So these are all the collecting areas. And finally, from all the collecting areas, from a common pipeline, the water during rainfall season, rainy season, the water is stored in a storage tank, and then finally it is let into the recharge facility which is there. A pit is dug there deep inside. So this, and then what happens is, because of this kind of rainwater harvesting, the underground water is always maintained, which generally we are losing the underground water, or the shortage of underground water can be easily seen during summer season. So these are few of the principles of water harvesting and conservation. That is, if we want to manage water effectively, what we can use, the steps which we can follow. One is the use of rainwater. We can effectively use the rainwater, as we have discussed that even at our homes also we can easily do the water harvesting process. So storage, it is a kind of a storage techniques which will give us the availability of the water or the supply of the water in summer season. So these are the few techniques by which we can use the rainwater effectively by the rainwater harvesting. We can also make effective use of the soil water reserves. That is, in the irrigation process, we can use some kind of contouring practices which will help to conserve the water. We can avoid the runoff of the water by, again, plantation of the trees, by the process of contour, pits, barns, etc. We can also avoid wasting water through evaporation. That is, from the barren land. If the rainwater will penetrate deep inside the earth, then the underground water level will always be maintained. But if it does not penetrate, and it simply get wasted off, then also we are facing the scarcity of water. Then we can use drip irrigation also, which again will avoid the wasting of water through irrigation. We can also reduce water losses through drainage. If we maintain our drainage properly, then also we can reduce the loss of the water. So when the soil is sandy, then it does not is not capable of absorbing much of the water. So in order to maintain the fertility of the soil and in order to convert this sandy soil into a fertile soil, steps can be taken. So this is how we can conserve the water. Then also, if proper irrigation facilities or the planning of irrigation is done, much of the water wastage can be avoided. How? Let us see. Now, the how we can plan the irrigation. First is the method of contour farming. Contour farming refers to the field activities which is done like plowing, furrowing, which are carried along the contours. Then, by this process, we can conserve water and the runoff, surface runoff in the irrigation land. Some of the methods of which are related to the contour farming are contour plowing, contour ridges, stone lines, grass strips, and terrace. Let us see how this contour farming can be carried out. This image shows the contour plowing. This is how contour plowing can be done, especially in the hilly areas. This can be easily done. We can also form retention ditches where the flowing water can be collected. We can also have contour furrows where the runoff water will not be a cause of the wastage of water and it can be easily collected. We can also have bench terrace where in a kind of step farming we can grow wide variety of plants and trees. We can also go for stone lines. We can have the boundary of the stones so that in order to not let the water get wasted and runoff can be prevented. We can also use this technique called grass strips, especially in the areas like our gardens. We can use the grass strips so that more and more of the water will be absorbed. Then the second method includes planting pits. They are small pits or individual or small groups where plants are sown. So these pits are particularly very successful in the areas where it faces low rainfall and they are suitable for the crops like millet. This is how the planting pits are being formed. This is how the planting pits can be used for irrigation. The next method is the earth basin. They are designed to collect and hold rainfall water and easily they can be constructed in whatever shape we want, especially mostly square and diamond shaped basins are being formed. They are usually 1 to 2 meter long and up to range up to 30 meter. So grass can be planted on these kind of barns. Manure and compost can also be added to improve fertility and to increase the water holding capacity. We can also build semicircular paths in U shape whenever we are doing some kind of plantation or irrigation on the slope. So this is how a shallow tip is dug and then kind of pond is being made, constructed so that to avoid the wastage of water and to collect the water. This is an image showing the earth basins. This is how earth basins can be constructed and this is how semicircular ponds can be made. Now, next method for the water harvesting is the mulching. Mulching means covering the soil between crop rows or around trees with a layer of loose material like grass, straw, some kind of leaves, manure, compost. So what happens by doing the process of mulching is it retains the soil moisture because it won't allow much of the evaporation to take place. It also improvises the soil structure. It also reduces the runoff and it protects the soil from getting eroded. So this is an image which is showing how mulching process can be easily done in the irrigation land. One of the common and the very important technique used for water harvesting in irrigation is drip irrigation. So it helps to conserve water, like water seeps slowly out of the small holes and a pipe is used on the soil surface. The holes are located very close to the plant so that not much of the water will be wasted, and then therefore the wastage of water can easily be avoided by using a drip irrigation system. As well as the next type of conservation technique is the conservation tillage. That means it aims to reduce the negative effect of the conventional tillage. That means it refers to a type of agriculture where the soil cultivation is kept at very minimum. So the fertility of the soil will be maintained. This is how the drip irrigation and the conservation tillage is being done. So this is how drip irrigation is done. So we can see that it avoids the wastage of water. Like in the previous time, canals were used for irrigating the land. But now drip irrigation is again upcoming a feature for irrigating the croplands for fields. By this, we can reduce the wastage of water. Then coming to the again one more method of the water conservation or the rainwater harvesting is the rooftop harvesting. This we have already discussed, but let us once again see how it can be easily done. That means all the catchment area common through a common pipeline, the rainwater is collected and finally it is sent to a storage tank, and then later on it can be used for the distribution. Even if we want to treat water and then store, this can also be done. We can also treat the water. Some kind of filters can be installed, and then the water can be easily stored, and then it can be utilized later on. So the rainwater, which normally the runs away or runoff takes place for the rainwater, it can be prevented and the conservation of water can be done. So these were the techniques or the methods for rainwater conservation. And now let us also look at the few advantages of the rainwater harvesting. Rainwater harvesting is of wide advantages. It reduces, first of all, water bills. Then it is having ecological benefit also. Ecological benefits are very huge. It minimizes the impact of flooding. Additionally, it also minimizes the possibility of the rivers drying up, which is now being faced. The problem is very common nowadays. The rivers are getting dried up. So it reduces erosion and flooding around buildings. It it is an adequate means for irrigation purpose also, because the rainwater is mostly the pure form of water. So if we can somehow collect that water and we can utilize it, so we will be solving the shortage of water problem also. It reduces the demand of on the that means the dependency on the groundwater. If somehow we can do these rainwater harvesting techniques. But in turn, there are few limitations also, that whenever we are doing some kind of opting some kind of practices for the rainwater harvesting, regular maintenance has to be done. Some kind of technical skills for installation is needed there. We are not sure about the supply of the rainwater mostly. And then sometimes waterborne diseases can also occur because of that. But if we compare advantages over the disadvantages, we can easily conclude that yes, rainwater harvesting is a very good process which can be easily done by an individual also in order to conserve the. So that's all for the topic. And